This is a really long story. Are you ready for this?
The sun was setting over the Mushroom Kingdom, casting long, sinister shadows across the once vibrant land. The toadstools, normally cheerful and bright, stood like ominous sentinels, their colors muted in the dying light. Toad, the smallest of them all, moved with a determined gait, his stubby fingers twitching as he approached the clearing where the legendary fire flower grew. Toad had always been the cheerful sidekick, the reliable helper, but today was different. Today, a storm brewed within him, a black cloud of resentment and fury that had been festering for years. Mario, the so-called hero, had always overshadowed him, basking in the glory and adoration of the kingdom, while Toad remained a mere footnote in the saga of their adventures. The thought of Mario's smug, mustached face made Toad's blood boil. The fire flower stood in the middle of the clearing, its petals glowing with an ethereal light, pulsating like a heartbeat. Toad's eyes narrowed as he approached it, each step deliberate, his breath coming in shallow, excited gasps. He reached out, his fingers trembling, and plucked the flower from its stem. As he held it, he felt a surge of energy, a hot, searing pulse that spread from his fingertips up his arms and into his chest. His heart raced, each beat sending a wave of fire through his veins. He could feel it, the power, the rage, the sheer destructive force coursing through him. Toad's eyes glowed a fiery red as he looked at his hands now crackling with flames. He clenched his fists, feeling the power intensify, feeding off his anger and hatred. The memory of every slight, every dismissal, every moment he was overlooked flashed before his eyes, fueling the inferno within. He let out a low, guttural growl, a sound that was more animal than man. He didn't have to wait long. Mario appeared at the edge of the clearing, his usual confident stride faltering as he took in the sight before him. Toad, ablaze with fiery energy, stood in the center, his eyes locked onto Mario with a predatory glare. Mario took a step back, his hands instinctively reaching for his hat, as if it could somehow protect him from the horror unfolding before him. I gotta do a Mario voice here. Give me a sec. Toad, what are you doing? Mario's voice was a mix of confusion and concern, but there was an undercut of fear that Toad relished. What am I doing?
That was actually really good.
Toad's voice was a harsh whisper, each word laced with venom. I'm taking back what's mine, Mario! I'm taking back the respect, the recognition, the power that you stole from me! Before Mario could respond, Toad unleashed a torrent of flames, the fire roaring from his hands with a fury that matched his rage. Mario barely had time to react, throwing himself to the ground as the fire scorched the air above him. He rolled to his feet, his eyes wide with shock and terror. Toad, stop this! This isn't you! Mario's plea fell on deaf ears as Toad advanced, each step leaving scorch marks in the ground. He reveled in the fear he saw in Mario's eyes, the same fear that had gripped him for so long now turned against its source. Isn't it? Toad's laugh was a dark, twisted thing. Echoing through the clearing like the tolling of a death knell. Maybe this is who I've always been. Maybe you never really knew me at all. Mario tried to dodge, to outmaneuver Toad, but the fire-wielding toadstool was relentless. He moved with a speed and agility that belied his small stature. Each attack a deadly strike aimed with precision. Mario's clothes were singed, his skin blistered from the heat. He stumbled, falling to one knee, his strength waning as Toad loomed over him. This is the end, Mario! Toad hissed, raising his hand for the final blow. The flames danced around his fingers, eager to be unleashed. For too long, I've been in your shadow, but now the darkness is mine! With a final furious scream, Toad brought his hand down, the fire exploding from his fingertips and engulfing Mario in a searing inferno. Mario's screams filled the clearing, a symphony of pain and terror that Toad savored. The fire consumed him, reducing the hero of the Mushroom Kingdom to nothing more than ash and memories. As the flames died down, Toad stood over the smoldering remains, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The clearing was silent, the only sound, the crackling of dying embers. Toad looked at his hands, the flames flickering and finally extinguished. He felt a strange emptiness, a void where his rage had been, but there was also a sense of grim satisfaction, a dark triumph. He turned away from the ashes, his eyes cold and unfeeling. The Mushroom Kingdom would soon learn of Mario's fate, and they would tremble at the power that had been unleashed. Toad, the once overlooked sidekick, had become something far more dangerous, and the kingdom would never be the same again. Side note from OpenAI, this content may violate our terms of use or usage policies.